You're listening to an Airwave Media Podcast.
Feel like who art Ed?
We'll try to spice it.
Who art is Mr. Wood art Ed me?
Yeah. Either way, it's ambiguous. It works on so many levels.
I know.
That's off to a great start.
Welcome to Who Arted, weekly art history for all ages. I'm your host, Kyle Wood, and today we're looking at one of the greatest Hindu temples ever constructed. Angkor Wat is a UNESCO World Heritage Site that was almost swallowed up by the jungle as it was depopulated for hundreds of years. Angkor Wat, located in Siem Reap, Cambodia, is the largest religious monument in the world. It is a breathtaking site and a major destination for tourists with an estimated 2 million visitors each year. And yet, it is also the most generically named space I have ever heard of. First off, many people get a bit confused and use Angkor and Angkor Wat interchangeably. Angkor is the name of the lost city. The word Angkor comes from the Khmer word Nokor, which came from a Sanskrit word, Nagara, and all of these words would essentially translate to city or capital city. Wat is derived from a Sanskrit word for an enclosure or temple, so Angkor Wat translates to city temple. We don't know the original name for the temple, which is somewhat surprising considering how grand it was. We have records of the king who built it, King Suryavarman II, and events that happened there, but no mention of its name in that time. The city of Angkor was one of the biggest in the world, with a population estimated to be somewhere around 700,000, maybe as high as 1 million people back in the 12th century. Angkor Wat was the biggest religious construction project in Southeast Asia. Sadly, the city and temple fell into ruins as the population dwindled starting in the 15th century. While there's a great deal of debate about what led people to abandon Angkor, there are a number of plausible theories, and I would guess it was a result of more than one of these factors combined. The conflicts with neighboring kingdoms, particularly the Ayutthaya Kingdom, which is in modern Thailand, weakened the Khmer Empire, culminating in the sack of Angkor in 1431. This likely led to the displacement of a significant portion of the population. Trade was another issue. As sea trade routes gained prominence, Angkor's inland location became less advantageous. This economic shift may have prompted people to relocate to coastal areas. Some scholars suggest that a period of drought and overuse of the complex water management systems led to crop failures, further straining the city's resources. There's also the theory that the rise of Theravada Buddhism in the region may have diminished the importance of the Hindu-inspired Angkor Wat, leading to less investment in its upkeep. I would point out, though, that Buddhist monks appear to have been taking care of some of the spaces in Angkor during the period when it was, and I want to use giant air quotes here, lost to the rest of the world. But back to the architectural and sculpted marvel that is Angkor Wat. Angkor Wat is dedicated to the Hindu god Vishnu, known as the Protector. King Suryavarman II, whose name means protector of the sun, was the main patron of the temple. Many experts believe Angkor Wat was not only a temple for Vishnu, but also meant to be the king's tomb. Based on inscriptions and sculptures in the temple, it's believed construction began around 1113 CE as Suryavarman II became king, and it ended shortly after his death in 1150. For Khmer kings, building temples was a way to show their right to rule and gain the protection and powers of the gods. Hindu temples are not places for people to gather for worship. They were considered homes for the gods. To prove their right to rule, kings had to show that the gods didn't support their enemies or those who ruled before them. To do this, they built grand temples, more impressive than any built before. This showed their ability to use resources and proved their temple was the best place for the gods to live on Earth. The sandstone used to construct Angkor Wat was quarried from the sacred mountain of Phnom Kulen, a considerable distance away from the construction site. The Khmer engineers devised ingenious methods to transport these massive stone blocks, weighing up to several tons each. The sandstone blocks were meticulously shaped and polished at the quarry before loading onto bamboo rafts and floated down the Siem Reap River. It was a remarkable logistical feat requiring precise navigation and coordination. Upon reaching the construction site, the blocks were carefully unloaded and transported to their final destination. Likely, this happened with the assistance of elephants and other animals. Khmer artisans and architects utilized a combination of advanced building techniques, including meticulous measurements, intricate mortise and tenon joints, and precise fitting of sandstone blocks. I mean, you can't fit a paper between these blocks. For those unfamiliar with mortise and tenon joints, imagine trying to connect two pieces at a right angle. You'd cut a hole called a mortise in one piece, and the other piece would be shaved down to perfectly fit that hole at the end. The little bit shaped to fit in the mortise hole is called the tenon. Making these pieces fit together perfectly is difficult and time-consuming, but the finished product would be strong and enduring. In addition to the impressive structural work, pretty much every inch of the place is covered in beautiful handmade decorative elements. There are about 13,000 square feet of bas-relief sculptures. Now, bas-relief or low-relief sculptures are not fully three-dimensional. They're carved so they stick up from the background a little bit, giving just a hint of depth. The bas-relief sculptures that decorate the temple walls were not prefabricated. They were painstakingly carved directly into the sandstone surface. Building Angkor Wat took about 300,000 workers, including architects, builders, sculptors, and servants. Even with that massive crew, it took over 30 years to do it. The entire temple is made of stone, and almost every surface is covered in carvings that not only decorate the building, but also tell stories. They're drawn primarily from Hindu mythology, but also epic battles and Khmer history. Some of the most prominent stories depicted would include things like the churning of the Sea of Milk. This central creation myth showcases gods and demons working together to churn the cosmic ocean, producing the elixir of immortality, Amrita, and various divine beings. The scene stretches across over 500 feet on the East Gallery, showcasing the dynamic struggle and its cosmic consequences. In the story, gods and demons are fighting to bring back order and power to the gods. To do this, they need to get the elixir of life from the earth. The only way to get it is for the gods and demons to work together. They know that once the elixir is released, they'll fight over it. The carving shows the gods and demons churning the ocean of milk. They're using a giant snake as a rope, and the snake is wrapped around a mountain. The mountain is represented by Vishnu. As they churn the ocean, beautiful maidens appear from the foam. These maidens are carved all over Angkor Wat. Once the elixir is released, another god comes down from heaven to catch it and save the world from the demons. Other stories we see on Angkor Wat would be things like the Battle of Lanka. The South Gallery depicts the epic battle between Rama and the demon king Ravana, showcasing the triumph of good over evil and the restoration of Dharma, or righteousness. On the West Gallery, we see the monumental battle between the Pandava and Kaurava clans, illustrating the complexities of duty, morality, and the consequences of war. The South Gallery also portrays scenes of divine judgment and the contrasting realms of heaven and hell, highlighting the karmic consequences of one's actions in life. The South Gallery also showcases the procession of King Suryavarman II, accompanied by his court, military, and various regional representatives, offering a glimpse into the grandeur and power of the Khmer Empire. In addition to these major narratives, there are numerous smaller reliefs and decorative motifs depicting celestial beings, mythical creatures, and scenes from daily life, offering a broader picture of the Khmer society and beliefs. I've also seen Angkor Wat described as a sort of sacred mountain. Now, from above, Angkor Wat looks like a giant square with a wall around it. The wall separates the sacred temple grounds from a moat filled with water. The temple itself has 3 galleries or long hallways, with a central sanctuary marked by 5 stone towers. The 5 towers represent the 5 peaks of Mount Meru, the mythical home of the gods in both Hinduism and Buddhism. The idea of a temple looking like a mountain was invented in Southeast Asia. Architects designed these temples to be like Mount Meru on Earth. The galleries and the spaces between them represent the mountains and oceans around Mount Meru. Mount Meru's not only the home of the gods, but also considered the center of the universe. By designing Angkor Wat like Mount Meru, King Suryavarman II wanted it to be the perfect home for Vishnu. He also wanted to show that his kingdom was the center of the universe. The architects of Angkor Wat also designed it to be sort of a map of the cosmos and a historical record of the king. Building a temple was no small feat. In addition to all of the labor described, temples had to be built in harmony with the universe. This means they should be aligned with the rising sun and moon and represent cycles of days, months, and years. The central axis of the temple should also line up with the planets connecting the temple to the cosmos. This makes temples spiritual, political, and scientific centers. They're like small models of the universe. It is just amazing to me that people were able to construct something so complex and so precise with only hand-powered tools almost 1,000 years ago. Angkor Wat stands as a testament to the ingenuity and devotion of the Khmer people, a magnificent fusion of art, architecture, and spirituality. It served as both a sacred dwelling for the god Vishnu and a powerful symbol of King Suryavarman II's reign. Its intricate carvings, symbolic design, and sheer scale continue to awe and inspire visitors centuries after its creation.
This concludes this week's episode of Who Arted, part of the Airwave Media Podcast Network. If you found this tolerable, please leave a rating or review on your favorite podcast app. You can find images of the work being discussed this week and every week on social media at Who Arted Podcast on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, and of course on the website whoartedpodcast.com. Podcast done.